Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla stock. Let's go over what is happening to Tesla stock, what we can expect moving forward and all of that good stuff. So as per usual, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you do enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, etc., 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 I do share my thoughts with my members in my YouTube membership every single day as the market is trading throughout the trading day, pretty much constantly updating whenever something is obviously well worth updating. Link is down below. For just $3 a month, you get access to all of that. Again, mainly Tesla updates, sometimes other stocks, like today I did AMD and Amazon, for instance. Or for $5 a month, you get access to all of that, plus NVIDIA daily updates in there as well, again, as the market is trading. But nonetheless, jumping into a Tesla closing the day, pretty much flat, closing the day up just a nice, humble 0.17%, closing at pretty much $411 per share. Again, pretty much flat, not really doing a whole lot, especially considering the market with a pretty, respectable green day. QQQ up a nice 1.14%, right? So, I mean, semi stocks, essentially NVIDIA, AMD, etc., leading the charge, but nonetheless, even Meta actually performing quite phenomenally today. But nonetheless, yeah, looking pretty solid nonetheless overall for the market, but Tesla, of course, not as much. So what does this mean moving forward for Tesla stock? Well, this is what I alerted my members this morning, pretty much as it happened, more or less, where, we rallied right up and into essentially the reversion line, if you will, of the Bollinger Bands, because we were obviously pretty much near the bottom of the Bollinger Bands. Had a nice, beautiful bounce from there, right at market bias, which, again, that scenario was a little bit 50-50, of course, because of how this candle looked, but nonetheless, found that bounce. And of course, we pretty much reverted back to the mean, but we are rejecting by that middle line in the Bollinger Band so far. So we definitely want to reclaim that, want to reclaim 415 as well as previous all-time highs for things to get a little bit, better, I guess, for the bulls, if you will, or at least a little bit more convincing. Nonetheless, like I said, the overall picture, in my opinion, still looked good for the bulls. I think the overall picture, the bulls are still very much in control. It's just the shorter time frame and the kind of shorter picture is where the bears have control right now, and the bulls don't really have too much control because, again, we're pretty much in this downward channel that I have laid out right here, especially after breaking from this very powerful long upward channel that we were in. That was maybe we're looking like this, right? So, watch for that. So essentially the way, I guess the way I look at this really just moving forward is this, right? Again, downward channel. As long as we maintain within this downward channel, and essentially we do not break out of this downward channel, which at this point, let's say tomorrow or really anytime this week will be pretty much above 425 to the very low 430s, somewhere around there. If we can start closing daily candles above, yeah, I think it's looking good. I think it's looking pretty damn solid. And I think Tesla will, at the very least, make its way back up to all-time highs to retest, if not fresh all-time highs. If not fresh all-time highs for sure. That definitely becomes a possibility. But up until that happens, we remain in a downtrend in this downward channel. And again, what could be obviously still a bull flag, right? We can still make an argument that this is just a nice, massive bull flag as we zigzag into it and then break out, of course, eventually. Which, again, eventually we will break out, just like when we were in this upward channel. Like I said, while you're in this upward channel, you're bullish until you break down, and at some point you will break down from it and you will turn at least temporarily bearish, right? And that's exactly what's happening here. Same thing here though, right? Again, while we're in this, we're temporarily bearish, but at some point we will break out. We will zoom out of this downward channel / bull flag, and we will continue or essentially make a new rally. At the very, again, in my opinion, at the very least, the all-time highs are like 460s. I'd be surprised if we don't get that, at least, to be completely honest with you. But that's kind of my perspective right now moving forward on Tesla stock. Now, again, that's kind of the upside projection for the most part, right? But we're not there yet. So what we care about right now is, how much lower can we go, right? How much lower can we potentially go? Well, the way I look at it is pretty simple, right? Pretty much anything below 400, Tesla becomes a little bit more bearish, and we most likely make our way back down into the high, 380s, let's say roughly 380, something like that, right? Which is where the market bias sits. Worst case scenario I see for Tesla is about 370 to as low as the 350 to 360, which is, I know it's a big range. Tesla's very volatile. But the reason I give this range is because, again, with the market bias and the Bollinger Band bottom line, essentially, which it is moving upwards, pretty much sitting, in the high 370s to around the 380s. That to me is probably the realistic target to the downside. If things get a little bit more aggressive and the selling pressure increases for whatever reason, obviously nobody knows if it will or not, but if it does, you only assume the fact that, we most likely will at some point just continue revisiting to the bottom of this trend line, which again, if we make our way back to the bottom of this downward trend line, that will bring us back down to somewhere about 360-ish, give or take. So that's my kind of worst case, if you will, bullish scenario, right? So still bullish, even if we come down to 360, things are still looking pretty good in my opinion. But that is my kind of worst case bullish scenario, 360-ish, which is still becomes, it's still a realistic target for Tesla stock. pretty much as long as we remain inside this downward channel. So with that being said too, we of course have the MACD still flipped bearish on the daily chart, still pointing down. We have the stochastic, which again, even today, even when the stochastic was near the upper end of the thing, I don't remember where, I had a thing somewhere, it wasn't that one. It was a morning post I had on Tesla stock. I think it was, might have been this one actually. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was this one. I think it was this one. Let me see. Yeah, I think it was this one, right? Where you can see Tesla is sitting at about 415. The stochastic's still here, even here, pointing pretty much straight down. So the thing I'm bringing this up is because the stochastic, despite Tesla's, you know, I mean, essentially 2 green days in a row, even when it was more green today, like at about 1% or so, the stochastic is still pointing straight down. This thing is just not showing any signs of even curling, right? Not even curling. Like at the very least, I want to see some curling action going on here, right? We're not even getting a curling action. We're just pointing straight down, which is a big, I don't know, question mark, I guess, to me, right? It's just like, it's not really showing any confidence, the fact that, you know, the stock is ready to, at the very least, reverse, right? So those are the main 2 things I'm watching for right now, right? At the bottom, Bollinger Bands plus market bias support, again, about 380, we'll say. We have the bottom of the channel, if we make our way to the very bottom of the channel and tag the bottom line, essentially, once again, 360. And of course, we have the stochastic essentially pointing straight down. Those are my main 3 kind of things that are telling me that, you know what, we're probably not ready to move out just yet. Also because, of course, we're in this downward channel. So watch for that, right? Which essentially watch for a break below that, above that. Again, 325 to 330, or 425 to 430, I should add. Once we get that, I think the rally continues and, you know, we continue moving upwards. But until then, as far as I'm aware, we will continue making our way down like this until proven otherwise, right? Pretty simple stuff. Another thing that's pretty interesting to look at is on TrendSpider. This is the 4-hour chart on TrendSpider, obviously of Tesla stock. Obviously I have the Bollinger Bands here, etc. too. But the thing that's interesting here is another indicator I have where obviously the bars you can see on the graph are color coded. You have green, you have yellow, you have purple, you have red. Yellow and purple pretty much mean the trend is potentially shifting. Don't really care too much about that. What we care about is, well, ultimately green and red, right? Green is bullish, red is bearish. Pretty simple stuff. And this is pretty much using, if I'm not mistaken, this indicator uses a combination of, I think RSI, stochastic, I think, super trend, and I believe the MACD. Don't quote me on that. But nonetheless, it uses pretty much trend indicators and momentum indicators combined to, you know, give you an idea as to whether or not the momentum and the trend currently is bullish or bearish. And currently right now, as you can see, we're in red territory on the daily chart and the 4-hour chart, right? Obviously signaling the fact that Tesla is, well, so far, not necessarily bullish. And it's not, because again, downward channel. So that's another thing you can potentially look at to see if, you know, maybe it finally decides to flip or not. So anyways, those are the kind of things I'm eyeballing right now. Ultimately, let's just see how it plays out. It requires, you know, it's a patience game. It's a, in my opinion, a put selling market for Tesla right now. You just sell puts, and the main reason I would sell puts here because, like, I don't know where the bottom is, and it's a little bit of a safer strategy. And, you know, I'm okay buying lower, for instance. If I see like a, you know, better red day, I will most likely be selling puts, and just, you know, essentially as we kind of more or less kind of chop around this, you know, range, which I mentioned that we will essentially chop around this general range, you know, until we finally decide to break out and we see some convincing, you know, structure forming on Tesla stock that tells me that it's ready to move higher. Convincingly, you know, it's more of a, in my opinion, a put selling market right now for Tesla stock until we find our footing and we, you know, really show some convincing movement, in my opinion. But again, that's just my thoughts. Could be wrong. Let's see how it happens and how things unfold essentially moving forward. Let's take a look at Tesla stock in terms of options flow. Again, this is Cheddar Flow. Definitely check it out. Beautiful software. Link is down below. With a discount as well if you use my link. But options flow, pretty mixed actually. You can see 36 million bullish and 4 million almost bearish. So bulls are still in control, but throughout the day you can see very mixed flow throughout the day. Very mixed flow throughout the day. However, towards the end of the day, a lot of bullish flow came in, so maybe we get a pop tomorrow, a little bit of a gap up. But the thing I don't like about this bullish flow for the most part is the fact that almost all this bullish flow that you can see right here towards the end of the day, it's all weeklies. It's all expiring this week, Friday. Don't forget, Thursday the market is closed, by the way, but the vast majority of it is weeklies, which is telling me that there's probably not going to be any actual sustained move to the upside just yet, because pretty much any pre-market pop that we'll get, or any even small movement to the upside that we'll get as early as tomorrow, these guys are already in profit and they most likely will be taking profits, right? Because I mean, they're pretty much weeklies, right? You have 110.25, a lot of calls coming in around 110.25, 20.25. So that's the thing I don't like about it, right? Which is not convincing me that we're ready to really get that next leg up. It's more of just like, probably some short-term pops, get some profit taking on that, and then we move, move on and continue chopping essentially sideways for the most part, while zigzagging essentially, right? Before we really find our footing. But anyway, that's kind of my overall thought process. That's kind of what I'm expecting moving forward. So yeah, let me know what you think down below. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.